you good information to optimize your health, biohack your body. So we're glad you joined us. And if you're hearing this after the fact, that's great too. Just in the comments, give us some happy faces and smileys and all of that good stuff. And then if you're hearing this live, put live. If you're hearing it later, put replay, so we know who's seeing it like while it's live. Go ahead, Doc.
You bet. Well, thanks for the introduction there to the webinar, and everyone welcome. Like Andrea said, give us the old thumbs up, the smiley face. Let us know where you're from. Tell us what you're thinking. There's a big connection between the gut and the skin. Did you realize that?
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's I got a couple little slides I just got done making. I thought a lot of people they tend to turn on a video and they might see us talking, but they don't have the sound on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I thought, well, every Tuesday I'll try and put together a couple little slides so that people have something to look at besides us.
Besides us, right?
What do you think of that? But they're really finding that not only is there a connection between the gut and the skin, but they're finding that there's a huge connection between the gut and the brain. They're saying that even with treating depression, maybe they're treating the wrong brain.
Wow. Yeah, I have heard a lot about that in just the last year.
Yeah. So today we don't want to really talk about the gut-brain connection. We're going to talk about the gut-skin connection. Okay. Billions of dollars are spent every year with treating skin problems. Did you realize that?
Well, there's a lot of dermatologists out there.
Yeah. And how much money is spent on Botox and facelifts and plastic surgery, right?
Oh, yeah. Tons, millions.
Billions.
Billions.
Billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. And they could just, take something that would restore them.
Yeah. And so what I want to show here is really with this slide, Andrea, let me move our photo down into the corner here so it's not in the way. I want to show you that there really is an established connection. I was doing a bunch of reading this morning. I've been working on these slides and I've been reading up on this since about 7:30 this morning. I just finished about 10 minutes ago putting this all together.
Okay.
But I read a lot of slides, and there was actually studies way back in the 1800s that said that there was a connection between the gut and skin.
Okay.
So we can say, documented studies for over 150 years, but in 1916, they found that there was a study, they found bad bacteria, unhealthy bacteria in the stools of 66% of patients with acne.
How about that?
In the 1930s, researchers studied this connection even further, and they said, heal the gut, heal the skin.
It's a good quote.
Right? Then they found that patients with SIBO, right? You know what that is?
I don't.
Small intestine bacterial overgrowth.
Okay.
So it's abnormal bacteria that are growing in the small intestine. But they found that people with SIBO had a 10 times increased risk of having rosacea. And they found that when you corrected this bacterial overgrowth, there was a significant decrease in the skin problems.
Okay.
Doesn't that tell you that there's a pretty good connection there?
I would think so. I mean, just common sense.
Yeah, if you have rosacea, or if you know somebody has rosacea, wouldn't you suggest to them that maybe they should look at healing the gut?
Yes, definitely.
That's right. They found that 14% of patients with ulcerative colitis have skin problems. 24% of Crohn's patients have chronic skin problems. They found that a new medication for psoriasis also treats Crohn's disease.
Really?
They found that celiac patients tend to have a form of dermatitis.
Okay. So
I mean,
it appears there is a big connection.
I'm just saying that, doesn't this establish pretty good evidence that there's a connection? So they found that patients with leaky gut syndrome not only had local inflammation in the gut, but they had systemic inflammation in the entire body.
Well, yeah.
They found that, this is a recent study now, that acne patients, 65% of them have this E. coli lipopolysaccharides, which causes increased intestinal permeability. E. coli. They're finding that altered gut microflora, which is the healthy bacteria and funguses and things like that that are supposed to be growing in your gut, increases the production of a peptide called substance P, which can pass right to the skin and cause skin problems.
Okay.
A study in Russia found that 54% of patients with acne also had gut problems. Chinese studies found that patients with dermatitis had gut problems. In 1961, Dr. Robert Siver found 80% of patients, acne patients, had skin problems. They found that a recent Italian study found that they had improved treatment results when they not only treated acne with medication, but also included a regimen of probiotics.
Good to know.
I mean, is this kind of establishing that there's a pretty good connection?
Yeah, I think so.
There's a pretty good connection. So what causes the gut to go bad? Because if you don't know what causes the gut to go bad, how in the heck are you going to fix it, right?
Right.
And so they say that a bad diet causes an imbalance of these healthy bacteria. In one study that I was reading, they were talking about dairy, pasteurized dairy, and they found that dairy alone will increase the levels of this insulin-like growth factor by 400%, which is found to drive abnormalities of the skin and the gut.
Yeah, I've heard for years that, like,
they found that fermented dairy doesn't seem to cause the problem. So certain types of fermented cheeses, kefirs, cultured products like that, and they're saying that even raw dairy may not cause the same problems that pasteurized dairy does.
so it's something they're doing to when they pasteurize it.
Yep. And then of course we've hybrid the cows, the dairy cows, so they produce a different kind of protein as well, an amino acid. Age plays a factor. You tend to, as you get older, you tend to have different things going on in the gut, which causes skin problems. They're finding that that probiotic use increases healthy bacterial growth, which helps with the gut. Mm-hmm. Prebiotics, which are the non-digestible food components, like in celery and sweet potatoes and things like that, they increase the healthy bacterial colonization. It creates a place for the healthy bacteria to grow and thrive.
Okay, well, yeah.
And then antibacterial or antibiotic use kills off the bacteria. And Andrea, so many people are on chronic antibiotic use.
They are.
And then on top of that, not only are they being prescribed medicine, antibiotics, but it's found in meat.
Yeah.
They give antibiotics. I think it's like 80% of antibiotic use is actually used in meat production in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I just saw a report about that.
Yeah, and do you know why they give it to the cattle and animals?
Tell me.
Because they're feeding the animals wrong. And what it does is it causes the animals to have gut irritation, which causes this, it causes the guts to basically be destroyed. And then it kills off the animals or it causes them to lose weight. And so they find by giving them antibiotics, they can keep the animal fat or they can keep the animal alive so they can feed the animal a diet that's not really normal for the animal.
Yeah, I just saw a report on glyphosates, and those are filtering.
Hold your thought on that. I got a slide on glyphosate.
Okay.
I have a special place for glyphosate,
Okay.
right here in my heart. Right here in my heart.
No, you don't want it there.
But there's antibacterial chemicals that are found in our air, our food, our water. Right, even antibacterial soaps, they put antibacterial components in toothpaste and mouthwash and things like that. A lot of companies, the FDA is actually telling companies to quit using this triclosan and these antibacterial chemicals in antibacterial soap because they found that it can trigger cancer. But did you know that they're not telling the same companies to take it out of your toothpaste?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I thought the FDA was supposed to take things off the market that were bad for you.
Right. That's what we tend to believe. But I just thought this all interesting. And then stress can cause problems as well, because stress causes abnormal hormones in your body, and it can trigger some things to go bad as well. And we all know that increased cortisol levels just aren't good, not healthy.
Right.
So here's your slide on glyphosate. So tell us what you were going to say about glyphosate.
I just watched a whole little, it was actually probably a video commercial about glyphosate, and they were talking about how it gets into the all the meat that we get. It's now in the meats that we eat. Cattle, the chickens, the turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, they're finding it. They're finding it everywhere now. They're finding it in all the food. They're finding it in I mean, even like women's hygiene products. They're finding it in there now. I mean, they're finding it in cotton. So it's in your clothing. It's in. I mean, it's just everywhere, Andrea.
Yeah. So things that glyphosates cause: inflammatory bowel disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, intestinal infections.
Yeah. Yeah, and I one of my friends was kind of in a little argument with me, one of my high school friends, and Mitch, if you're watching this, you know I'm talking about you, and Mitch says that Roundup or glyphosate, whatever you want to call it, is actually one of the safest.
Go drink a bottle.
Chemicals.
Tell us how that goes.
It's one of the. Well, I don't think he ever said that you could drink it, but. I know that one of the scientists for Roundup, he did say that at one time, didn't he?
Yeah, they asked him to drink it if he thought it was so safe.
Okay.
So I took screenshots of this documentary that I watched. It says maximum contaminant level allowed by the EPA is 0.7 parts per million. Corn tested in Iowa showed it was 18 times higher than that.
18 times higher than that.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
More than 1.4 billion pounds of glyphosate are used each year throughout the world.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Glyphosate was found in 77% of rain samples in Mississippi. In our rain.
It's in the rain, so it evaporates and goes up in the water vapor and gets up in the clouds.
Yeah.
Wow. So or maybe or maybe it's being seeded into the clouds. I don't know.
There you go.
Again,
Here's
that's
what
a different
said
story.
were the 5 top things with glyphosate in them. Soybeans, which we knew that. So you got to think about what all they're using soybeans in, because they sneak that into all kinds of stuff. Canola oil, which we already know that's a fake oil. Don't eat that. Squash, I was surprised by these. Squash, potatoes, and zucchini. So all of those you should be getting organically as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard one video that said that potato farmers, a lot of potato farmers, they won't actually eat the potatoes that they sell to on the market. They've got their special little garden where they grow their own potatoes that don't have all the chemicals in them.
Well, I heard a while back, I saw an article about
I don't know if that's true.
The potatoes used for McDonald's. They don't want like brown spots in their French fries. And so they're treated with a special chemical that gets rid of the fungus or the bacteria, whatever it is that causes those little brown spots. And it's highly toxic. Like you can't even walk into the field for like 2 or 3 weeks after they spray this. It's so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's that chemical? What do they spray on that? Do you even know?
I don't know, but probably from Monsanto.
Yeah. So this glyphosate, Andrea, you know, they the scientist that said, oh, it's so safe you could drink it, but then when he was offered a cup, he wouldn't do it. But you know, he said that glyphosate, and this is what he told all of us, that glyphosate, there's no receptor sites in it for the body, so that's why it wasn't harmful.
No.
And so I remember looking it up thinking, well, okay, so if there's no receptor sites, okay, let's go with that. Let's just say he's not lying to us. So how could it cause problems? Well, they found that what it does, Andrea, is it kills off the healthy microbiome in the body. So it kills off all your healthy bacteria. Well, healthy bacteria, they do a number of things, right? We know just from the talk that we gave last week, we know that one of the things that healthy bacteria do is they break down fiber. And when they break down fiber, that gives off hydrogen, diatomic hydrogen.
Yes. Which
we need hydrogen. Hydrogen is essential for life.
Yeah.
It's essential for life. So, I mean, just with that alone, I would say there's an issue. The other thing that they found was when the chemical glyphosate was actually discovered, its first patent was actually as a mineral chelator. It chelates minerals like cobalt. And you've heard me talk about this before, but Andrea, do you know what vitamin cobalt is necessary for?
No, I don't.
Cobalamin, vitamin B12.
Okay.
And they say that we're actually in a vitamin B12 deficiency epidemic in our country right now.
Right, we are.
Couldn't it be related to this?
Most
I'm
definitely.
just saying, couldn't it be? But the other thing that glyphosate does is it breaks down the cells, and it breaks them so that the cells rip apart. Think of it like this. An easy explanation would be as if you take Velcro and you rip the two pieces of Velcro apart. Your gut is supposed to be held together like Velcro. And so what glyphosate does is it rips the Velcro apart.
Bad.
That causes leaky gut syndrome, which compromises the system. That causes an overload of pro-inflammatory cytokines. It overloads the immune system. And when you have an overloaded immune system combined with an increase of pro-inflammatory substances, that increases the risk of development of allergies. And what's one of the symptoms of having an allergy? What's our talk on today?
The skin.
The skin, dermatitis, right? So we have a lot of problems with that. So you start kind of relating all these things together and how it's all related. So then we take a look at you know, what really can be done, Andrea, and you know, that's where we want to spend some time. So I hope that by now, if you're watching this, give me the thumbs up if you think that, have we established that there's a connection? Right? There's a connection.
Definitely.
We've established there's a definite connection between the gut and the skin. We're not even looking at anything else, the brain, the immune system, cancer, any of that.
Right.
But do you think that I've covered enough to establish the connection?
Well, I would say so. Everything that you brought out, I mean, you brought out lots of information, and all with common sense, it makes perfect sense.
So now we have to figure out, how do we improve the health? How do we get this so we get it under control?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrea, if I'm poking you in the back with my finger, if I'm jabbing you in the back, do you think maybe you could take enough painkillers that you're not going to feel me jabbing you in the back?
No. Mm-mm.
Sure you could. You could take enough painkillers. You could be walking around like a zombie,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to feel me poking in your back anymore. You're not going to feel me causing any pain in your back. If I was stepping on your toe, do you think that you could take enough painkillers that you wouldn't notice me stepping on your toe? Sure.
Sure.
Right? But by taking those painkillers, are you fixing the problem?
No. No.
Not at all.
Just to get rid of the irritant.
So the thing about working with the skin problem, this thing about working with the gut, what's the first thing we got to do? We got to take me off your toe.
Right. Get off my toe.
Get off my toe, right? And so when we're talking about the gut, you know, who's the elephant on your toe? Dairy.
Dairy, eggs.
They found that casein, like we were talking about earlier, eggs and egg protein. It might not be the eggs. You might go, well, you know, Andrea, I don't eat eggs. I hate eggs. You know, somebody might say that.
I eat tons of eggs.
But some people don't eat eggs. And so the eggs, they might take the protein out of the eggs and put it in other food. Right? Like they might put it in a chocolate cake and they say, well, I don't eat eggs, but I eat chocolate cake.
Okay.
Wheat. And I don't want to just point my finger at wheat. I want to say all the gluten containing family. And there's cross contamination. I worked on farms. I grew up in a farming community, and you couldn't go out and harvest wheat without having some oats, some barley. If you planted barley in the field last year, there's going to be some barley in there this year. So there's a cross contamination with that as well.
Right.
Processed sugar will cause irritation of the gut, because processed sugar, they found that will increase the overgrowth of these bad bacteria.
Processed food.
You were talking about soy earlier,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Soy is one of the irritants that can trigger gut irritation. And so I wanted to list on here, what's another way that, you know, instead of just talking about the triggers that you're removing, what's one of the things that you can add that will help take care of the irritation?
Oh, it says right here, balance the pH with Body Shield.
Body Shield. So if you want to remove the triggers and add the Body Shield, you're going to help with that. What other thing can you think of that we have in the line of Sizzle products that has fulvic acid?
Well, let's go with, first of all, let's say that Body Shield is from the company that we work with to provide excellent supplements, formulations of supplements. So Body Shield is designed to remove toxins and balance the pH. So it's one
Yeah.
of the products that we represent. The other product that you're talking about is, I believe, fucoidan, if it's not
No,
it.
no, we talk about fucoidan later. Spectromax. Spectromax has high levels of fulvic acid as well.
That's right.
Yeah, good guess though. But Spectromax. And then I would say too, like we talked about earlier, hydrogen, the hydrogen water. But so we got to remove the trigger. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna treat the problem with probiotics." If you don't remove the trigger that's causing the problem, the irritation in the first place, it's kind of like I said, it's like you still have that elephant standing on your toe. So then you want to re-inoculate with probiotics. And so I really like the Balance D. It's got a balance of the probiotics. It's got prebiotics. It's got all those things. It's got vitamin D that helps with gut. But I also list on here fermented cultured foods. What do you think of when I said fermented cultured food?
Oh, what is that? Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut would be one of them.
People do this process with cabbage,
Cabbage, yeah.
Yep.
Bragg's apple cider vinegar.
And that stuff you drink.
Kombucha. Cultured buttermilk.
Okay.
Kefirs. And there's just a whole list of other foods that fall in that category of fermented cultured food. I try and consume cultured food several times a week because we have like 30,000 strains of healthy bacteria and microorganisms that live in our gut. And did you know that we have 10 times more bacterial DNA than we have human DNA?
No, I didn't know that, but I think you've mentioned it before.
Yeah. So probiotics, they increase these short chain fatty acids, which are known to cause apoptosis of colon cancer cells. Probiotics.
That's cool. Hey, while we're right here, I wanted to just make a statement. My mother grew up on a farm where my grandpa was a dairy farmer. And so they drank raw milk and they had real butter, stuff like that. And so that's like part of, we've talked about before, the keto diet, getting good healthy fats in your body. And I know that many people who have like psoriasis or skin conditions, when they go into the ketogenic diet or food lifestyle eating, their skin clears up. So the healthy medium chain fats are probably very supportive of the gut too. And in fact, my son just started doing a keto lifestyle about, I think 3.5 months ago. He's lost 40 some pounds, and his face.
Holy cow.
Yeah, his whole face has changed. Like he looks at least 10 years younger than he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty
yeah.
amazing.
So these short chain fatty acids, they also produce energy. But yeah, what a great story, your son. And I think the problem with the ketogenic diet, here's where I think the problem lies with that, is that there is a problem with eating too much of the wrong fats.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You have to know what good fats to eat.
Yeah. Because like here, my next statement says, short chain fatty acids, that SCFA, that's what that stands for. It decreases inflammation. Mm-hmm. And when your healthy bacteria are growing in your gut, they'll actually help digest the carbohydrates and make short chain fatty acids. I didn't realize that until I was reading that this morning, or I didn't remember. But and they'll decrease the long chain fatty acids, which cause inflammation. And some of the foods that we eat, they have the long chain fatty acids, and they promote inflammatory response. So we got to start looking about that. I talked about it on the call the other night, that the omega-6s are these ones that cause inflammation. They're pro-inflammatory. So we want to look at that. So you want to feed the healthy bacteria with prebiotics. Like I said, that's the undigestible fiber. And then also we want to throw in here. And where do you get fiber, Andrea? What product?
Sizzling, isn't it? Where we
get Sizzling and Balanced D.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Super H2 Sticks produces diatomic hydrogen, which helps to recreate the situation in the gut microbiome where the body thinks that we've been consuming the right amount of fiber. Did you know that the average person in America only consumes half the amount of recommended fiber intake?
Right.
As a man, I'm supposed to get 25 grams of fiber a day. And they say that the average male is only getting like 13 grams.
Yeah, the H2 stick, which is another product that we represent, is a sachet of minerals you put in water and let it sit for about 15 minutes and then drink it. And you get extra diatomic hydrogen in your body. He's got an example right there. If you look, say something so they see that, because they're only going to see me.
Oh, so this is the Sizzle H2 sticks. You add this to water, and it produces the most powerful diatomic hydrogen water on the market. And that's been tested, and they're like 18 parts per million. Holy cow!
Yeah, and even those $2,500 machines only make, at the best, 2.5 or 1.5 parts.
1.5. That's the very best machine that I've seen.
We're like 13 times more effective than that with the hydrogen. The other thing about using that, when I drink that, it like immediately takes inflammation out of, it feels like my intestines. I just feel so good after I drink that.
Yeah, I love it. I love drinking that. And then we need to seal the gut lining. Remember I said you rip the Velcro apart? That's what happens when you start having gut irritation. So check this out. As I was reading up on products that would help seal the gut lining up, amino acids. And we have two products that are, we got other products that have amino acids, but Ripped and Sizzling are high in the amino acids. And then For Restore, would you ever have thought of For Restore as a skincare product?
No, never.
Because it has L-glutamine, and L-glutamine helps to seal that gut lining again. It starts to zip it back together, zip the Velcro back together. And then vitamin D from supplements like the Balanced D and from Sunshine.
Right.
We're going to get some today in North Dakota, by the way.
So are we. It's coming out right now.
Yeah, it's still only going to be 35 degrees, but at least it'll be sunshine.
Or I think we're getting into the high 40s today.
Oh, you guys, yeah. I think we're supposed to actually hit 58 today, but that's another story again. So then what we want to do is we got to remove that inflammation of the gut lining as well, Andrea. If we don't get rid of the inflammation, we're not going to fix any of this stuff. So I listed all the products that could help out with removing inflammation of the gut. So Sizzling, because it has the fiber like we were talking about, it also has some fulvic acid. Tom is pretty smart. Tom Maurer Sr., he was pretty smart when he put these products together. He's like I tell him he should have a Super T-shirt that he's a superhero because he thinks of this stuff. So he puts fulvic acid in there. Fulvic acid, again, balances the pH so that we can actually digest this stuff. And then he has the amino acids that we talked about. The L-glutamine, which again comes from For Restore. Vitamin D, that comes from supplements and Sunshine. Fucoidan, here's where we were talking about the fucoidan. It removes the inflammation of the gut.
Yeah. The very first time I had that, I felt that.
Yep. And I use it with all my patients that have allergies and autoimmune problems. And then Super Omega Plus has all these essential omega fatty acids that it's a balance. It's a balance of the omega fats. So there's a balance between the omega-3s, omega-6s, the 5s, the 7s, the 9. And what that does is it gives your body balance. And we want that. We want that balance.
Right.
But it also has the turmeric. It has CoQ10. It has these medium chain fatty acids that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has an ingredient from limonene.
What is
right?
that? What is that?
And so I was looking this up, and one of the ingredients from limonene is pyrrolic acid.
What does that do?
Yeah. So first, let me ask you this question. Look at the word limonene.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think it comes from?
Limes.
Limes. What part of the lime?
The skin.
The peel. Yeah, good guess. Good guess, Andrea. You get a star.
You say all the good stuff's in this.
You get a star today. You're good. So they found that this limonene that comes from lime peelings has an ingredient called pyrrolic acid, and they found that pyrrolic acid also causes some anti-cancer activity. I won't get into that whole thing because that's a whole nother story. And we just, we don't want to run out of time.
Right.
But I thought that's pretty cool. I didn't realize until this morning that it has the limonene in it. So then we've done all these things. We've removed the inflammation. We've removed we've re-inoculated. We've removed the irritants. We've done all these things. Now we have to actually repair the gut lining.
Right.
And what product has collagen?
Collagen? I don't know.
It's right there.
Tell me about it.
I wrote it down for you.
Renovator. You switched this slide on me. Okay, Renovator. Has collagen, which is known to improve gut repair.
Yes, ma'am. You got that right. How'd you figure that out?
I read it.
What type of collagen does it have? It has
your slides ahead of the little program we're doing here. Might be helpful.
Yeah, next week when we're together, you can hit me for picking on you. But it has denatured and undenatured type 2 collagen, which is known to cause this repair of the gut.
That's good.
So Renovator isn't just for a bad knee; it's for a gut.
So Spectramax has 74 trace essential minerals and 40 antioxidants. That's
really good for repairing the gut as well, right?
I would think so.
How about Eternity?
Eternity has resveratrol, known to support the SIRT1 gene activity. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the SIRT1 genes, I won't get into it really in depth, but the SIRT1 genes, studies on that indicate that they're the ones that are responsible for DNA repair. And every day we have damaged DNA. Just stress alone will damage your DNA.
Right.
So that says that we need to have Eternity as far as a gut product. And then the Age Pill, healthy stem cell function. And I was doing some reading not long ago that, because I work with some of these stem cell clinics where we actually do stem cell injections. Mm-hmm. And so as I educate people on stem cell function, I tell them that one of the things that happens is that your body has to do triage, right? Isn't that what triage, when we watch the old episodes of MASH, they do triage. They try and figure out which patients are going to die really quickly, and they work with them first, and that's the same thing that your stem cells do. They do a little triage in your body. So you might have a sliver under your fingernail. It might hurt like hell, but it's really not a major issue, right?
Well, it's not going to kill you.
It's not going to kill you. But you might have some problems in your gut. So where are your stem cells going to go?
To the gut.
To the gut. If you've got a skin cancer and you have gut problems, where are your stem cells going to go?
Probably the skin cancer.
No, the gut.
The gut. Okay.
Right? Because the gut can cause you, if your gut is not repaired, you can get an infection that will kill you almost instantly. So your stem cells will tend to go to the gut first. So we really could say that this webinar that we just gave is really, it applies to every single medical condition that you have.
Yeah. Well, they're calling the gut I don't know. I think now that's moved up to being the first brain.
Yeah. Well, they're called second brain, the first brain in your head. Yeah. But then what would they say guys have? Guys have a third brain then.
Now, let's not go there.
Another story.
You forgot a word here in that fourth bullet point there. Age pill supports healthy stem cell function. Just for people listening later on. Let's go over that one time. Not age.
Yeah, true enough. And then of course we could probably list this product as well.
CBD oil?
We could probably throw that in there, right? Because in your gut, there's a lot of cannabinoid receptors.
Okay, yeah. So our Sizzle Safe CBD full spectrum oil.
Sizzle Safe from hemp, yeah. So Andrea, what do you think of that?
I think it was an excellent webinar, and I think it's really great to have these slides in here so that people can go back and review all this information and not just hear it.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I thought too, because like we were talking about, there's a lot of people who are going to watch that slideshow with their sound shut off.
Yeah, okay.
So they're going to see this.
They don't want to hear us.
They're just going to hear us. They're going to see us doing this. Right? So,
sometimes I do that. I watch a video just to see how funny it looks when you can't hear it.
Yeah. I look at the skin problems and things like that, and I think that I've pretty much always had a pretty good, healthy digestive system. And I remember when I first started asking my patients about skin problems, about digestive problems. It really was after I started to realize that there's a connection between the gut and the skin. And then later on, I was at a medical seminar, and they taught us that there's a huge relationship between the brain and the gut. Mm-hmm. And I had a patient that came in. I'll finish with this story, and then I'll let you close the call. But I had this patient that came in, and she suffered from these really, really horrible migraine headaches. Horrible. And she told me that she would miss work typically 3 out of 5 days every week.
And they kept her?
And they kept her. She must have been a really good employee. But she would be, at least once a week, she would be hospitalized.
What? That's crazy.
For migraines. They were that bad. Mm. And she tried everything. She was on all these painkillers. She was taking all these different kinds of painkillers. And I remember talking to her, and it was really my first aha moment where I connected the two. And I said to her, I said, do you have any problems with digestion? And she said, no. And I said, none at all. And she told me that she only had a bowel movement once every 2 weeks. That left me kind of speechless, right?
The thing is, she told you she didn't have a problem. So many people don't know what's normal.
Yeah. But the reason that she didn't think she had a problem was because she had brought that up to her doctor. She brought it up to her doctor like, hey, doc, do you think this might be a problem? And her doctor said, oh, no, everybody's different. That's just normal for you. Can you even, what's your comment on something like that?
Can't comment on that.
It's hard to comment on that. And I said, I looked at her and I said, no way. I said, I would explode. Because normal, healthy bowel movements are 2 a day. And I said, if you're going every 2 weeks, I said, you're having a normal, healthy bowel movement, never. And
full of crap.
It's full of crap, yeah. So, yeah, that's where that saying came from. Anyhow, I remember telling her, I said, okay, and I didn't have a full understanding. I have a lot better understanding today than I did back then, 20 years ago. And I remember saying to her, I said, okay, so first thing we're going to do is let's remove all the things that we know that could cause problems. The processed sugars, the processed wheat, the eggs, the dairy. And we went through all of those things and I removed all that. And I didn't put her on anything. I just took her off of things. And within a week, her migraine headaches were gone.
Wow, that's awesome. Yay.
Right. And so to me, that was like, I mean, it was like, oh, okay. So then every time a patient would come in, it didn't matter what they had going on. One of the questions I asked was, how's your gut? And people would look at me and they say, Doc, I came in for neck pain. What are you asking me about my gut?
Right.
Because like we talked about earlier, if you have inflammation of the gut, you're going to have inflammation of all the other parts of your body. And your skin is an organ. And because your skin is an organ, it's one of the largest organs in your body. You filter more stuff in and out with your skin every day than you do through your liver and kidney. And you watch what people, especially women, what they're putting on their skin. And you go to the store and next time you go to the store, look at the stuff that's included in that. And you just go, holy cow, we have so many health problems because it's absorbed into the skin and it goes to the gut. So it's not just what's in the gut goes to the skin, but what's in the skin goes to the gut.
Yeah.
It could be in the air.
Quickly, like in the past, I've seen people like clean paint off their hands with gasoline.
I used to do that all the time. Turpentine,
that goes into
kerosene.
And I have a friend who went out and sprayed a field with Roundup the other day, and all I've heard is, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Why do you think you're tired this week?
That's right. Well, thanks for being here with us today. And everybody, thanks for joining us. If you're watching this on the recording, pass it around. Let people know that there's something can be done. And am I saying you need to take all those products?
No.
Yes.
You have to start with what you can do,
But you have to start with what you can do. So what I would say is, let's look for the most powerful products in each category. Let's get you on those. Let's make a difference. Because the whole thing is, Andrea, what I found is that if we change 10%, you're going to feel better. And then you're going to say, what can I do to increase the 10% to 25%? And when you get 25% better, you're going to say, hey, what can I do to make it 50% and 100%? What can I do to make it so that I can prevent this stuff? So, Andrea, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you talk about products and closing and all of that.
Okay. Thanks, Doc. Again, that's Tuesday for making this possible so that we can have this great information coming out to us. Again, we work with a company called Sizzle International that has very effective formulations of supplements that are high quality and non-toxic. So if some friend shared this with you and they thought it would help you, that's their goal. They're trying to help you. So get back with that person and ask them for some more information and maybe another webinar that would help you, or a link to where you could actually try a product and see what it will do for you. Go ahead and do that, and go out and do some research on your own. Look up these things that Doc's talking about here. You've got a lot of things here to consider, like glyphosates. I mean, just go out and find a list of what processed foods have the most glyphosates in it, what natural growing products have the most glyphosates in it, and start right there. Get rid of glyphosates. But anyway, we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you join us again next Tuesday when Doc will bring us even more information. Thank you. Have a great day.